you listen to reason? Will you open your eyes? It's a wonder what you'll find with an open mind. You may be surprised. Yeah, gotta get away from this illusion for the sake of the world. This delusion, it's gotta go. Yeah.
Attributing motives that are clearly not applicable,
Correct. Yeah.
and emotions that are not applicable. I think you're going to touch on one of these
Yeah,
here in a minute.
sure.
I think it's a dishonest debate tactic. It's designed to basically divert attention from the fact that no evidence has been presented to support
Right.
a God claim.
Right. And someone did bring up, they were like, it's such a script. Some of these apologetics are such a script that it's not
Yeah.
so much that the person that's saying it understands that they're lying or understands that they're being
Oh,
dishonest.
yeah.
It may just be like a thoughtless thing where the script comes out and they don't even think about
Mm-hmm.
it. And I said, to me, that's sort of like a hairline between you abuse your child or you're criminally neglecting him. It doesn't matter to
Right.
me. The point is that you're saying something that is so silly that it ought not to be said. And if you would give it a moment's thought, you could save everybody an hour's worth of arguing. So just don't even go there.
Well, and that's the thing. I think that many of the times the theists that present these non-arguments, they're not trying to be deliberately disingenuous, but they have just never thought about it very much, and that's criminal. I mean, you're asserting this is true.
Right, in a
You're
metaphorical way.
You're basing.
We don't
yeah.
mean that it's truly
Yeah,
criminal,
yeah,
that people
yes.
should not think. I mean, clearly
not
a lot
against
of
the
people
law.
would be put away, and there'd be times I'd probably have been cited myself. So,
But no, I mean it's you've got this set of beliefs that you base your whole life on. You're really betting your whole life on this, and you haven't given it much thought.
yeah. But I mean,
And-
I went to church. I was indoctrinated, and I acknowledge that. And part of that indoctrination was being fed scripts. So you're
Yep.
told this is what atheists believe. You're told this is what Buddhists believe. You're told this is what Hindus believe. You never speak to a Hindu or a Buddhist or an atheist about what they believe
Right.
because you already know because your preacher told you. And what they're telling you, everyone else believes is not correct. So that when you get into a dialogue with these people, there's a lot of time and energy spent on the other person having to explain to the theist what they actually believe, because what you were taught in Sunday school that all these people believe, it's not what they believe. The Buddhists do not worship Buddha.
Yeah.
It's just not what it seems. And what you've been told, though, is what you believe is accurate. And so the responses that you've been given, because you're fed those too, this is what the Buddhist believes, and this is what's wrong with it. This is what the atheist believes. This is what's wrong with it. The problem is that that's not what the atheist believes. It's a straw man of what an atheist believes, and then it's a response that makes the atheist look silly because you were given this silly model of what an atheist actually thinks. And so you think to yourself, how could an atheist be so stupid? And I understand that because you're presented with a model of atheism that only an idiot would, be an atheist. But that's not what atheists think. And so instead of approaching them assuming that what your preacher told you they believe is what they believe, it's probably better to go to the individual atheist and say, can you please tell me what you think about God claims? Let the person tell you what they think and listen to what they think. Don't get what they say into your head and then translate it into what your preacher told you, because that happens too. Listen to what the person tells you, because I guarantee there's an indoctrination filter going on in your head. And if you can't see past it, you're never going to have a productive dialogue. So if I support that X is something I actually would like to demonstrate is true, discrediting I don't think makes any sense.
Right.
And if I hate it, like if I hate God, then I'm not an atheist. And you simply don't understand the term atheist if you're
Right.
putting forward that atheists hate God. You're either saying that you don't believe the person thinks what they're telling you they think, or you don't know what atheist means. But atheists cannot hate God. That is like, it's a nonsensical statement. A person who does not believe in something cannot hate the thing that they don't believe exists. And Now, you can hate the concept of it and what that does to people, just like a person can hate that homeopathy could be harming people without believing that homeopathy actually works. Okay? It's harming them by making them not get the treatment that they would normally get. It's not, necessarily harming them because water is hurting people. So if it comes down to an inability, I guess, to understand what the atheist is actually promoting that they think, and you're not willing to actually listen to them, but my advice to the atheist is just stop the dialogue at that point. You're dealing with somebody that doesn't hear you, that can't hear you. The indoctrination is too deep, and they are not going to, the dialogue can't be productive. I just don't believe that it can, unless they can understand what you're saying. It's sad if you're in a position where you have to point out that not believing in something precludes hating it. It seems silly to have to point it out, and I want to say right now that, feel free to tell them that they're being silly, because it is so silly that it deserves a reprimand. And I was hit, I guess, with the idea that somebody had put forward the idea that sometimes we question people's reasons. So a person will put forward something, and then they give these reasons that they are sincerely putting forward, and yet you can see that the reason is flawed. And you can point out that the reason is flawed. And it's like, they were like, don't we do that all the time? Like, for example, the example that they gave on the blog, it doesn't matter if you agree or disagree with it, it was simply an example that was put forward, was they were saying Republicans will put forward trickle-down economics, and they will say this is why we shouldn't tax the rich. And they were pointing out that they believe that it was demonstrated that trickle-down economics doesn't work. And so we know that this thing they're putting forward, they don't believe. And I said, but we also know that the base thing that they're defending, don't tax the rich, they absolutely do believe. So it doesn't matter if the apologetics or the reasons you're putting forward are not sincere. That's a different statement. I'm not going to say that it doesn't matter if you're not sincere. It does. But as far as this dialogue is concerned, what I'm talking about is what you're claiming at the base of what you're defending. So in other words, the Republican who says, I don't think we should tax the rich, and I don't think we should tax them because I believe in trickle-down economics. And even if you could demonstrate that they were absolutely knowingly lying, and they accepted that trickle-down economics doesn't work, and they were just trying to lie to people to avoid taxing the rich, the point is they still believe the rich shouldn't be taxed.
Right.
And the convoluted reasoning for that is irrelevant to the fact that they do believe what they're saying. They believe as far as what they're claiming their goal is. Just like the person against homeopathy could have all these weird reasons that somebody thinks they could discredit, but at the end of the day, they still believe homeopathy doesn't work. And when it comes to theism, we do the same sort of thing. I mean, there's a whole lot of theistic arguments that, atheists will say this is not a valid argument. And sometimes you can actually get the theist to acknowledge the invalid nature of all of their support. And they get to the bottom of the list and they say, it doesn't matter, I still have faith. I mean, we've all been there. We've all heard a theist get to that point where they're saying, I still believe it anyway. It doesn't matter if my reasons don't hold up. At the end of that, I don't say, well, since you agree that your reasons don't justify the belief, I don't believe you believe it. Absolutely, I believe they believe it. It doesn't matter if it's unsupported. If they're saying, I still think a God exists, I accept they still think a God exists. I don't tell them they don't believe it because I think their reasoning is disingenuous or even erroneous. And so with atheism, I expect the same courtesy of somebody saying to me, even if you think that my reasons for not accepting your claims are not valid in your opinion, or not valid in reality, if you think it's demonstrably not valid, to say that I don't actually not believe your claim is ridiculous. It is just ridiculous. It's pathetic that it even requires a response. I'm just tired of responding to certain types of stupidity, and this is just one of them, two of them, I guess.
The content of this video is produced by the Atheist Community of Austin, a nonprofit educational organization promoting positive atheism and the separation of church and state. If you enjoyed this content and are willing and able to provide a donation, please visit the website below.